Joefer has changed his setting.
Oh, well, I moved to the other end of the village and it got
Okay.
kind of warm in the last segment, so I took the coat off. Well, now it got cold again, but not quite as cold, so I put on a thinner jacket.
Wow. And
Yeah.
it's night, getting to nighttime there now.
Well, it's been dark off and on all day. It's been steady rain for the last like 8 hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we were soaked this morning after walking the dog.
Oh. Well, with all that snow and ice there behind you, I imagine it's all going to freeze, so be careful.
I will try.
You don't have
Okay.
snow, by the way, right? You don't
What?
have snow. You don't have snow.
Well, no, but my village has snow.
I'm aware of that. But you personally, honestly don't have
No, no,
snow.
no. And if I can avoid snow, I will do it at any cost.
Yeah, I wish I could.
Yeah, well, you live up in the New England area where it snows every year.
Tell me about it. Um, so let's move on to Dean Martin and talk about Dean Martin's Christmas specials that he did every year.
He did every year. I am going to review the one. Whoops, just dropped my notes. This is what happens when you're doing live video. Oh boy. Okay. Dean Martin. His Christmas show is from 1972, the one I'm going to talk about. And it opens with him coming out and doing a song like most variety shows in that era. The thing that struck me the most were his backup dancers initially. They are called the Gold Diggers. Oh, if that's not sexist, I don't know what is. But they're like eight beautiful women. They're young. They all have the same hair. They have the same makeup. They have the same outfits. And all they do is adore Deanie. They dance around him and touch him and whisper in his ear and give him compliments. And he's just, he's being Dean Martin.
Yep.
And the other thing that struck me was Dean Martin's hair. It is going salt and pepper, but it is so thick and full and styled, it looks like a toupee. And I was thinking, wow, he was wearing a toupee on TV. And then I looked it up, and no, he died with a full head of hair. He just always had a team with him at all times, giving him the whole glam treatment. So his hair always looked perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so on this particular special, Dean has some guest stars. He gets out and he sings a really long number. And the background is an open stage with his name, Dean, in big gold letters. Um, you wouldn't know it's Christmas right away. You just think it's, other than them saying it's the Dean Martin Christmas special,
Mhm.
because it looks pretty much just like a variety show. But I don't think he had a weekly variety show. I could be mistaken, but I don't remember one. I remember seeing his specials growing up. This is just one I selected from YouTube to refresh my memory.
Yeah, he did have a weekly show. And for several years, my mother watched it religiously. And during the summer, the Gold Diggers had their own episodes through the summer.
Did any of them become stars?
I don't know their names, so I don't
Well,
know.
just looking at them, I didn't recognize any of them doing anything else
Yeah,
than that.
yeah.
Yeah. Another thing I noticed was that everyone lip syncs. I know that was popular.
Oh.
You couldn't have an overhead mic hanging right in front of your face. But
Mm.
when they're dancing around singing, it's all obviously lip synced. And I know in the late 90s, early 2000s, that became a no-no for artists because the audience felt cheated.
Hmm.
Well, now they're going back and they're doing it again, even in big shows. I think JLo was busted for that recently. And she goes, I'm
Cher
like,
does. Cher does a
"Oh."
lot of lip
Yeah.
singing.
So I noticed that right away. And then the sketches. Oh boy, the sketches.
Who were the guest stars on this particular
Guest
one?
stars were Dom DeLuise,
Mm.
Glenn Ford, a country singer named Lynn Anderson. I recognized her voice and her look, but I don't really know her music.
Hmm.
Someone named Dame Edward, and I guess she's a female stand-up comedian.
Okay.
She struck me as very vaudeville. Like, I mean, she was probably only 40 or in her late 30s on this, but she looked older.
Yeah.
And her shtick was shtick. It was very vaudeville shtick. Rodney Dangerfield did a set. Nipsey Russell, who played a black barber, go figure.
Mm.
But Dom DeLuise played a white barber in the same sketch.
Mm.
And then Norm Crosby came on briefly and did a little comedy routine. And it was almost like that was pasted in there. I mean, it wasn't, he was there, but it didn't seem congruent with the rest of the show at all.
Okay. Okay.
Um, Dame Edward comes out when he's talking to Glenn Ford, who's playing the piano, and him and Ford, Dean and Ford, are making just sexual innuendo jokes about women. And then Dame Edward comes out and she throws a few insults at Dean Martin and he laughs. And then she comes on to Glenn Ford, touches his face and all that, and talks about how big of a fan she is. And then she exits the scene. I don't know who wrote this, but again, it wasn't really funny and it wasn't showcasing anyone's talents. It was just them being there. And then they went to the barber scene. They would do like a commercial break, only I'm not watching the commercials. And then they come back and they show the outside of a building of Studio City in Burbank. And there's a barber shop, I guess, on the ground floor. And they zoom in and it's Dom DeLuise and Nipsey Russell cutting Glenn Ford's hair and Dean Martin's hair, even though they're not really even touching them. And
Mhm.
Nipsey does his one-liners. He's famous for that. And Dom DeLuise does his one-liners. And Glenn Ford says a couple things that are written for him that weren't funny. And Dean Martin's just kind of smirking. It's like a boys' club. And almost all of the jokes, again, were very sexual oriented towards degrading women. And visually, it was something again that would not fly in today's society. Um, we jump over to another section and they're in a nightclub and Rodney Dangerfield gets up on stage and he does his, take my wife, please kind of jokes.
Mhm.
About 3 minutes and then the nightclub clears out and Dean Martin walks in and sits at the table and then Rodney comes over and sits down with him. And Dean goes, yeah, I just want to talk to you, Rodney. And then Rodney does another spate of shtick jokes for about 3 minutes, and that's the end of that scene.
Mhm.
There's like a Christmassy song, and there's another scene with Glenn Ford and Dean Martin. Glenn Ford is sitting on a park bench, and he's got a woman dressed as a cat, I think, standing behind him. And then Dean Martin comes out with this woman who's dressed like a dog, and she's on a leash. And he sits down, and the dog is begging at his feet, praising him. And they make jokes about women again and about owning women. And, you know, my pet is here because she adores me and, she's my slave and that kind of stuff. And it's just like, wow. I don't know who the writers were, but they were obviously men.
Yeah.
Uh, I didn't find it super entertaining or funny at all. And now I
Yeah.
might have back then,
Yeah.
but now as an adult, it's like I can't imagine talking about women that way on public TV.
Yeah.
I just can't
Not
do it.
not after Me Too. Yeah.
No. Well, me too. Are you kidding?
Was Dean smoking through that special?
Every scene continuously, and even the supposedly indoor scenes. And it was like, do you ever get that cigarette out of your hand? And in one scene, I think one of the gold diggers kisses him on the mouth, and I'm thinking, oh,
Yeah.
horrible. Because he's smoking and he's got a drink.
A
An eight
martini, probably, right? A martini glass.
martini he was carrying. It was like a little eight ball. It's
Oh,
like about this tall glass, ice
okay.
in it, like whiskey on the rocks or something. I didn't see him drink a martini. I have seen him do that on pretty much every other show he's ever been on.
Right.
That's when he was just jiggling his ice. But the show itself, it's a variety show from the 70s. I had also watched Donnie Marie, some rehashes, and the Cher special. And I'll just say these shows do not age well. Other
No.
than other than the Carol Burnett show, these shows don't age well. I mean, Carol Burnett is still funny today.
Hmm.
This one, wow. Um, I mean, oh, hmm, I don't know
I,
what to say.
I know my mother Dean Martin was her favorite singer. She watched his show religiously. She watched the Gold Diggers summer show and all the specials. And I don't recall my mother ever laughing about any of the jokes that were on, but she loved it because Dean would sing and she thought he was so handsome. On his
What
weekly show,
was handsome?
he was handsome. On his weekly show, he would first come out and there was like a set with a bar, and he'd sit on a stool with his martini glass and with the cigarette, introducing the show and just talking a little bit about it. Um, there were rumors that it was real alcohol that he was drinking, but then he later said, no, it's meant for me. The joke is that I drink too much and I'm an
Right.
alcoholic, but I don't drink that much, and it was fake.
Well,
I
he
don't
made jokes about that throughout the show too, about him drinking too much. And like, that's what she said, but I don't remember that kind of stuff. Yeah. Um, you just mentioned how he would come out on his variety show. Do you know
Yeah.
who Scott Thompson from the Strangers with Candy is?
Uh, I know him from Kids in the Hall,
Yeah, Kids in the Hall. And he
and I
had the
met him
character.
in P-Town, by the way.
I didn't mean Strangers with Candy. You're right. Um, I think he's funny,
Uh-huh.
but on Strangers with Candy, he would come out and he would be like at a cocktail bar and he'd going, "Ee." And I went to a show here. He came and he did that character for a full like 90 minutes.
Uh-huh.
Um, but just as you said, Dean Martin, that's how he comes out too. He comes out and he sits at a bar and he has a martini and he holds it like this and takes a cigarette.
Yep.
And so it was all Dean Martin. Maybe that's what he based it on.
I just have to tell you the Scott Thompson story. So I would always stay at this place called the Boat Slip, which is the big place where they have tea dances in P-Town and all this stuff. And I always stay there. And I was in the lobby talking to the desk kid when Scott Thompson and a boyfriend, I guess, comes in, and they're trying to find a room somewhere. And the desk person's like, I'm sorry, we're all sold out. Um,
Joey's going,
and
stay with me.
and so he was like pretty upset. And I said, the rooms book up like I booked this room a year in advance. So, I always get the same room. I always do the same thing. He's like, well, if you come here all the time, can't you do something and get us in? And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm just a guest. I'm just standing here talking to him. So they left, and I somehow figured out what guest house they went to, and I don't remember why I knew that. But I wrote a note saying, oh, first of all, when I said, is your name Scott? And he said, yes. And I said, oh, you're from Kids on the Block. And then I went, I mean Kids in the Hall. And he's like, right. So I wrote him this note saying, I was the one that you talked to at the boat slip, and I know you're with a friend, but if you'd like to go out and have a drink with me and whatever, here's I didn't have cell phones. Here's the boat slip number you can reach me at. Oddly enough, he didn't call.
How long ago was that? Back when the
Uh,
show was on the air?
uh, oh, it was probably on the air. It was 94, I'd say,
Okay.
93,
Yeah,
94.
because he's gone through a lot since then,
Yeah.
with cancer and everything.
Oh,
So he looked really worn out when he was doing the show here.
oh,
And the makeup was pretty obvious to cover up his complexion.
yeah.
He's better now, and I've watched him for the last two seasons on Fubar on Netflix,
Okay.
which is an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. He plays like a therapist, and he's back to his old self. He's aged, but I mean, everyone ages.
Yep.
But for a while there, I was just listening. He had a podcast I would listen to, and he kind of took us all through his cancer journey when he was doing it.
Okay.
He had breast cancer.
Yep. Men can get it.
Yeah, they can. So back to Dino. That's pretty much all I have to say about Dino. Um, for a Christmas show, it didn't seem like a Christmas show other than I think one number that showed Christmas decorations.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of people had variety shows on the air as regular during the season shows. There were many, many specials. Of course, Bob Hope did stuff, Andy Williams, you name some others. Who do you think in today's world, today's actors or singers or musicians, who do you think could possibly revive a television variety show? Anybody?
Well, yeah. If that has to involve singing,
Hmm.
I would say Carrie Underwood could do it. Um, Kelly Clarkson could do it. Jennifer Hudson could do it. I would hate to see someone like J Lo get up there because it'd be all about J Lo and yeah. Um, Younger people, Sabrina Carpenter could do it. She's also an actress, somewhat. She's getting into it. I think she'd be really good. For men, Michael Bublé, I think would be a really good talk show host, and
Mhm.
he can do his Merv Griffin numbers. A song in the beginning, a song with a guest, etc.
Yeah,
Also, I think what's his name, Jamie Foxx, but I think Jamie Foxx already had a daytime show, maybe the Jamie Foxx show
I
where he
I don't know.
sketches and interview people, but I don't think it lasted. He's a great singer. He's a great pianist. He's funny. He's good looking. He's age appropriate. I mean, he's got to be in his 50s now. Um, I think Michael C. Jordan, he could do it as well. Is it C. Jordan? He was
Right.
this singer, so he played twins, but he can
Hmm.
sing. Looks
Okay.
good. He's personable. As far as actors that are just actors, none actually come to mind. Um, well, actually, one does, but she's not young. And that would be Mary Ellen from the Waltons.
Oh
I've
yeah.
seen her online. I think she would make a really good talk show host.
Hmm.
I would like to see her in a role where she's not trying to be so upbeat and positive like she is on her YouTube show. I would want her to ask the probing question if someone comes on who's just been through a scandal. I'd want her to ask about the scandal and not say, "Oh, we all make mistakes. Let's move on."
Yeah, I know, right?
But I think as a talk show host and a talking head, I think she's great. I've talked to you in the past where I didn't think that her acting was so
Yes.
wonderful. Yeah.
Yes. But in those kind of skits on a variety show, there's not good acting ever.
Oh, no. Look at SNL. There's some fine actors on there, and their skits suck.
Ugh, it is horrible stuff. Yeah. Now, you listed the majority of your people were women. I
Yes.
will tell you, I have no women on there.
I think the reason I came up with women immediately is because you said who could host, and I'm thinking who could come out and sing and dance. And
Yeah.
I came up with women, and then it was like, well, wait a minute, Dean Martin's a guy, so we should come up with some male hosts.
Yeah.
Jonathan Bailey would be fantastic, but
Hmm.
he's such a movie star now. There's no way he could do that.
Yeah.
Not unless he like wanted to stay in a certain location, like LA or England or whatever, and they were willing to work around it.
Right.
Because he's
I
also a good singer.
I agree with Michael Bublé. That was the first one that I put down. I think he'd be great. I think Josh Groban could get away with it. Certainly the singing and probably dancing.
I think that he is so fey, he would turn off a good part of the American public.
Wow.
I know he's straight and
Yeah.
he's dating some supermodel
Uh,
and has been off and on, but his voice is he's very high pitched,
yep.
kind of like the Mormon Tabernacle Choir singer,
Yep.
what he kind of reminds me of. And I know when he has come on and saying things on Christmas shows, people will go, "Oh, he's so shrill." I mean, he's got a fantastic voice,
Yep.
but he's so meek and high pitched that people are going to half of America will categorize him as gay, and they're going to
Yeah.
do.
Yep.
Or you get Jonathan Bailey, who's totally gay and totally out, but just looking at him and watching him, you wouldn't think that.
Yeah.
And he's
The
automatically.
the only other name I have is Seth MacFarlane. And I don't know if the audience has heard him sing. He's quite the musician. He has an orchestra and he tends to do, well, Michael Bublé
He does
slash
American Standards, yes.
Frank Sinatra kind of singing.
And he's already done a Christmas special.
No way,
I
really?
think it was last year. Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to
And
track that down.
he had a female singer. She came on and she sang with him and they kind of did a duet. But yeah, I see him right now. He's on stage. There's a tree, there's fake snow. He's got the Christmas hat on. And he did an entire variety show that I think it was Christmas themed.
And I'm not sure if he could do it because, I mean, he owns it and he was the creator. I'm not sure if he could throw in like st a Stewie skit with, they can put cartoons into live action,
Right.
obviously. So he could be doing the Stewie voice at the same time. It would be entertaining if that could pull together. But I definitely will check out the Christmas special because I bet it was great.
No, he's got a great voice.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's also, I think he has an album out there too.
He has several albums, yeah. They're big band classic kind of albums
Right.
for
Which
sure,
I really like that kind of music.
as I do as well. You know, I always kind of shit on women in some respects, not like Dean Martin would do, but I do it jokingly because I'm a gay man and I used to do the straight thing and I just don't want to do it anymore. Um, But I think with women singers, I loved like the 1920s and 30s torch song singers.
Mhm.
And I also think that, okay, I have to edit it because there was another point. Hold on. It's gone. Anyway,
Well, I would leave it in. It just shows that you're an older gay guy. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
absolutely.
the head's going in some respects. Let's move on to the homecoming,
Which
which
I rewatched last night.
the original.
The original well, Patricia Neal. Yeah.
Okay. Now there's for the I don't know if the audience knows there's two versions of The Homecoming, which was the pilot movie that started the Waltons TV show, which was on for 9 years, plus a bunch of specials after that. Um, then about maybe 5 years ago, they decided to remake The Homecoming with a new cast. And they have since done a second one, which I want to say is Thanksgiving, but I'm not positive. I won't watch those, partially because I just feel like the original is so close to my heart and so beautiful. I wouldn't want to see an updated one. And the second reason is the Judy Norton show, who was Mary Ellen on the Waltons. I showed you about it and you started watching it. And I've interacted with her enough that the sad part of me thinks that we're friends. So, for her sake, I would not want to watch the new one. But in the original movie, it took place during the Depression, and the storyline was basically that the father was coming home from a job to spend Christmas with them, but he had to travel a long way, and was a big snowstorm, and there might have been a bridge out at some point. And the big thing was, is he going to come home? And
Right.
they used the same children and they aged over the years to full adulthood. Um, and they had the same grandmother, Ellen Corby.
Mhm.
However, the mother was played by Patricia Neal. She was not offered the TV show, even
Right.
though she was pretty pissed about it. They didn't think she was well enough to do it. Um,
She
the
lived until 2010.
She did.
Yeah.
Patricia Neal. I always liked her. I thought she was a wonderful actress. The grandfather was played by,
Edgar Bergen,
thank you, Edgar Bergen, who did the puppet stuff.
which in one
And
of the scenes they're listening on the radio to his show.
oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, was he the Kukla, Fran, and Ollie? Did he do that?
No, he had Charlie McCarthy.
Oh, okay. Oh, and they're listening to, isn't that funny? And the father was somebody different, as well as like the side characters, the Baldwin ladies,
The Baldwins, Ike
the
Godsey, the sheriff,
general,
the
yeah.
preacher. The preacher was, I think, Cleavon Little before he became famous in Roots.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting. I didn't know that. What did you think of that movie?
Well, I had seen it in the past and I thought, oh, it's kind of boring. But last night I really got into it and I paid attention.
Yeah.
And I think Patricia Neal, I've seen movies with her and she's wonderful. She seemed a little old for this, but I think that's because I'm spoiled by the TV series.
Yeah.
And in the TV series, Michael Learned is a lot, she's probably 15 to 20 years younger than Patricia Neal.
Yeah.
That again, they make Patricia Neal look old too, because it's the Depression era. And that's how people look. Look at the Baldwin sisters. They look like they're, in their late 80s. And they're probably 60-year-old women.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But, at different time, people age differently. Um, I thought the father was shocking. I didn't remember who did it. But when he came in, he's got this hair that's whoosh, and it's like, wow, is that a wig? And I'm thinking, John Walton wouldn't wear a wig. That kind of took me out of the scene for a minute.
He was
And
only in the very end of that.
but he
Like,
was also very jovial. Um, Ralph Waite was a lot more serious in the TV series and
yeah.
playing. This dad was the devil may care, throw, caution to the wind kind of thing. I thought John Boy was fantastic in this series, in this movie. Um, he was an attractive young, probably 19. He looked like he was 14. And I know how he's aged over the years. And on the TV show, he was my favorite character because he was really good looking. But his ups and downs, trying to be a man, but trying to be himself and trying to be the big brother and the struggles. I mean, I'm one of the younger kids in the family, so I didn't have the responsibility of looking after my siblings. In this movie, he seems to be totally responsible for his siblings, unless his mother's in the room. I mean, it's like, wow. The farmhouse is different.
Yes.
TV show, it's surrounded by trees and things. Right now, it's in this movie, it's in the middle of a meadow,
Yeah.
and the barn looks like it's a mile away.
Yeah.
The Baldwin sisters were kooky, just like the ones on the series. I like them. Um, the whole Ike Godsey, Robin Hood Bandit, sheriff thing, I don't really know why that was even part of it. It didn't really seem to tie into the story very well for me. It was
Yeah.
like the characters he wanted to bring in, but they didn't really do anything.
Yeah.
And a scene that I remember from childhood when I saw this was when Elizabeth opened up her doll that the
Preacher
religion,
lady. Yeah.
yeah, the evangelist gave her, and it had a cracked face because it was a porcelain doll, and she said, "Oh, somebody killed it."
And
And it
she
was
was
like,
mad. Yeah.
to me, we grew up really poor, and I'm thinking, oh my God, someone broke that doll. Someone could have used that doll. And it made me angry that they in the show someone had broken this perfectly new doll
Hmm.
just to make a scene, and that bothered me because I could never see myself doing that in real life because we didn't have anything.
Yeah.
And it was like, if that had been something I wanted, I would be furious that someone broke it.
Yeah.
And maybe that's growing up with Depression era parents. That and we were poor. So there's both of those things.
I'm surprised that John Walton, the father, wouldn't be able to do some sort of repair on the doll.
Well,
Um,
they didn't even try.
yeah, no, they didn't. She just threw it to the ground and was mad,
See,
and that was it.
I would think John Boy would have grabbed it and just replaced the head with something else,
Huh. Yeah.
or glued it back together. Made a sock in there and then glued the pieces around it so it fit back together,
Right.
and then made it. I mean, that's what I would have done. But
See, we should write these things, Joefer.
unless it's based on a true story and that's what really happened, because these
Well,
are stories of Earl Hemmer's life.
supposedly.
And right after that show ended, a documentary came on about Earl Hemmer and the makings of this movie. And he had 10 or 11 siblings,
Hmm.
and 7 or 8 of them are still alive. 2 have passed. And they talked to like 4 of them in this show. I did watch half of it and then it was getting late. It's like, okay, I got to stop.
Yeah.
But it was fascinating because they went back to the town in Virginia that Walton's Mountain is based on. Um, Names that were in the series were names of actual families in his town growing up. He would pick someone's name and then create a whole story around them.
Uh,
Walton's Mountain. Jason was the amalgamation of 2 of his brothers. He put their personalities together to create one character.
and I
Um,
think they did that with Ben as well. I think Ben was a composite character.
but it might have been Ben and not Jason,
Oh, okay.
right?
I don't know.
One of his brothers was killed in the war. Another one they didn't say how he died. Um, they talked to 2 of his sisters and 3 of his brothers. So yeah. It was a fascinating show, and it's on YouTube as well. Just
Hmm.
kind of it just Earl Hammer documentary, pretty much, and it's all about the Waltons. And he goes back to his old schoolhouse, which I think is now a grocery store or a house. I think it's a house. The grocery store is something else now. It's just abandoned, but it's a house, and it's like now a museum because he became so famous.
Yes. Yeah.
They toured the area and showed, how everyone was in poverty. And as he talked, he goes, yeah, until we grew up, we didn't know that we were poor because everyone was poor,
Hmm.
except the Baldwin sisters.
Hmm.
Yep.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. Earl Hammer produced many things other than the Waltons. I can't think of a single one, but I know I've seen his name on many shows as the producer or writer.
They mentioned quite a few things that he was involved with, either as a producer or a writer. I remember the names when I saw them. It's like, oh, I'm familiar with that. I had no idea. He actually, I think, was doing, he wrote for sitcoms too.
Hmm. Yeah.
And he moved from Virginia to New York City for his career. So
Okay.
just like John Boy, he left. And
Yeah.
then John Boy, I think John Boy came back though after 2 episodes.
Earl Hammer is supposed to be the grown-up John Boy, and that's why he narrates the show and talks as if he's talking about himself as John Boy. Um, I love that show. I didn't like it when it was first out, but now as an older adult, that hominess. I mean, a part of it's because like my parents died when I was a teenager, and we're all separated, the kids. So that family unit was really important for me, and to this day, I love watching the
Well, and when
Waltons.
I saw it as a kid, it didn't grab me, but it does as an adult. It's just like the Brady Bunch. I love that because we had 6 kids, they had 6 kids,
Mhm.
only they had money. We didn't have money. Um, Back to Homecoming, something that got me was towards the beginning. Mom comes back from the store after buying her sugar, and she goes, "Where's John Boy?" And Grandma goes, "He's up there locked in his bedroom again behind a locked door. That boy's up to something." And I'm thinking masturbation
Is
because
there a vibrator in this story?
it happens 2 more times, and finally she's banging on the door. "John Boy, what are you doing in there?" And she comes in. "What were you doing? What are you hiding? Were you smoking in here? What were you doing?"
I'm
And she looks.
sorry, Mama.
Then she looks at his bed, and it's the blankets are wrinkled. And she goes, "What you hiding under your bed?" And it's his writing tablet because he doesn't want anyone to know that he wants to be a writer. But I'm thinking the whole time, it's like, Grandma, you know what he's doing up there. Mama, you know what he's doing up there. He's a 19-year-old boy stuck at home. He's masturbating.
Yep.
That was my thought.
Although John Boy honestly probably was writing because that's him. And when the father finally gets home, he brings presents to the kids
He
and
brings in writing
he
materials.
gives him like some writing stuff. And John Boy, it was kind of the first time that him being a writer was acknowledged by
His dad,
his
and that it
dad
was okay.
and that he wasn't going to become a farmer or whatever
Right.
the hell they were at
But
the
the
time.
question I have with that is, how did the dad know he wanted to be a writer?
I'm sure he talked about it. He must have talked about
Because his mom knew nothing about it.
it. Hmm.
And she
Interesting.
confronted him. She goes, well, why you been keeping this a secret? If this is something you want to do, you should have told me.
Yeah.
It's like,
Huh.
but dad knew.
Yeah.
So that was something at the end of the movie. It's like Christmas miracle.
Maybe the father, like, periodically would say, "Hey, John boy, come with me. I want to show you how to do such and such in the barn." And maybe he's like, "Daddy, I don't need to learn that. I'm going to be a writer. I'm not even going to be here."
Oh, that's
But
possible. But I know that they had flashbacks where he didn't want to be a hunter
yep.
and he was going to go do it anyway.
Yep.
And he didn't want to be a forester and he was going to go do it anyway because that's what's expected of him. That's what he was telling his mom. But how dad knew, and John Boy goes, Daddy, and he goes, so he said something like, how did you know? And dad is going something like, oh, somehow I just had a feeling.
Mm, yeah. He
Santa told
paid
me.
attention.
He read his letter to Santa. I'm sure that's what it was.
Oh, jeez. A 19-year-old boy.
Tablets, and it was just tablets of newsprint, the
Yeah.
indie tablets of newsprint. And I'm thinking, wow, newsprint is really hard to write on without tearing the paper. You're just using a pencil.
Yeah. Oh, right. Just a pencil back then. We have 2 minutes left before we run out. So,
Okay.
Joefer, tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me on YouTube at the at symbol, Cranky Old Gay Guy Show. Yeah, that's where you can find me. I also have a link of some art stuff that I've done on Joefer PDX, or I'm sorry, Joefer Arts PDX on Instagram. And that is Joefer
Mhm.
Arts PDX. I haven't updated that in probably almost a year. So it's some old artwork. There's a link on there to some adult artwork that I have no longer have access to that site because Instagram blocked it for me, but it's
Mm.
still up. So if you go to that first one, there's a link in the bio that goes to the second one. Any comments you leave on the second one, I will not see because I can't get them.
Mhm.
And that's pretty much all. I'm also on Twitter, but it's just links to my YouTube channel.
Okay. I
All
will
of them.
put links down in the show notes as well of how to get to him.
Okay. Can I
Um,
ask one last question? We got 10 seconds or something.
sure, yeah.
How often do men propose to you after seeing your show or listening to your podcast?
I've never had anybody propose. I've had people ask if they can lick my feet, if I can be their daddy. I get that quite a lot.